Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So as usual, let's go over Tesla, see what happened in the market today and what we can expect going in for the rest of the week. Don't forget guys, Wednesday is the earnings for Tesla. Pretty exciting stuff, of course. But yeah, as usual, if you guys enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help quite a bit. So let's just get this party started. So Tesla, market's closing in about 10 seconds. Tesla ending the day just above $1,000, around $103, $1,004 roughly, which is not bad. So essentially today was an interesting day. We ended up dropping down, but like pretty much the way I'm looking at it right now is as long as 970 to 973 holds and we don't fall below that, ideally below 973, but 970 is fine too, in my opinion. Excuse me. As long as we don't fall below that, I think we're safe. So for now, at least. So that to me is like the floorboard essentially breaking. And if it breaks, that probably means we're on our way to like mid 900s to slightly lower, maybe like 940, maybe even 930, somewhere around 930 to 950 is personally what I see. So currently I have puts sold actually for 950. I sold them over here at the beginning of the day, bought them back on this rally, and then resold them. Missed this unfortunately, but then I sold them here actually like maybe 20 minutes before market closed. So overall I actually netted less profit than if I just held it, but I mean it is what it is. Sometimes you make those mistakes here and there, but overall it's not a huge difference, I guess. Still sucks, but nonetheless, essentially I sold 950 puts, pretty much saying that as long as Tesla is above 950, I'm gonna be just taking in the premium and I'm safe in that sense. But if it falls below 950, like let's say to like 940, in that case, I will be buying shares, which is fine because that's 940-ish is pretty much my like buy zone anyways. Like I want shares at 940, and then I still have extra at that point if that happens to buy more if it drops actually down even more to like 20, 915, which I do think is still possible. But nonetheless, so essentially Tesla is sitting in this kind of little channel up here. You can see it did kind of break to the downside a bit, but it ended up holding decently well throughout the last like 10 minutes or so of the market, because it did fall below 900 or 1,000 rather into the 900s. Got bought up pretty aggressively, and a nice little candle here to finish off in the 15-minute. Pretty bullish looking candle to finish off the 15-minute chart over here. To finish off the day, which I'd like to see. Which again, like personally, like I still see like if Tesla can break above like 1020, 1025. I really think we can see a move and potentially a run up into earnings tomorrow/Wednesday. I really can think we can see that, like at the very least, maybe a run up into, I mean, where is it? So at the very least, I think we'll get to like 1022. Like essentially, if we can gap fill this and not just instantly get rejected, I do think that that's going to open up possibilities to potentially, hopefully run into like maybe 1060, close to 1060s up until earnings if we're lucky. That would still be a decent move. Like if we run from here all the way up to like 1060, that's a 5% move, which isn't like too crazy for Tesla. I mean, Tesla can easily do that in a day. But nonetheless, like that would be essentially a 5% move from here, which I do think is in the cards. It is possible, but we'll see what happens, of course. But essentially, the way I'm looking at it right now are the two key levels, right? The first key level, of course, a break to the downside would be, again, 973 to 970. If that breaks, well, I do see us falling down to this line over here, which again is around the 940-ish range, give or take, $10. And if we break up to the upside, essentially out of this little wedge, which I think actually tomorrow might coincide with the gap fill over here. Let's see. Yeah, actually, yeah, tomorrow it'll perfectly coincide. So I think tomorrow we're gonna potentially rally up midday. So probably around like afternoonish, give or take, I think is when we potentially might look for that gap fill to that 1022, and that's where we want to see what happens. Because not only is it going to be the gap fill, which tends to be potential a potential rejection zone, but it'll be the top of this little wedge that we're in as well. So it will have to break out of both of those situations, if you will. Which if it happens, and if we consistently, if we confidently, I guess, break out, and especially if we go above 1026, 1027, I do think that we can start definitely eyeballing moving up to, again, this gap fill up here at 1057, and then of course we will revisit that if it comes and when it comes to fruition. So that's essentially what I'm currently seeing, guys. Quick little video, quick little updates. Overall Tesla on the daily, let's check it out very quickly. It's consolidating in between this general range. It does look like it wants to keep pushing higher, and it does look like it's trying to push higher. It's not falling below here. Again, this is the most important level to watch. Again, is essentially that low 970s area, by far the most important level. Because again, if that breaks, then it pretty much destroys any support this area has or had, and we make our way down to the mid 900s, to the slightly lower mid 900s right area. That's essentially what I'm currently seeing. Taking a look at the MACD is still looking a little bit bearish, but not too bad. I mean, it's pretty much setting the same level over here as it did on Friday, so it's not necessarily looking more bearish. The RSI is just kind of chilling. You know, everything is kind of going sideways and chilling, and we're either gonna get a run up into earnings, or the major move will happen after earnings based on how that goes, whether it's up or down. The issue with earnings is that sometimes it can potentially throw all technical analysis out the window for a day, just for like supporting resistance levels, if you will, because like if we close, let's say Wednesday we close at 990 as an example, and let's say for whatever reason it just plummets after earnings. I mean, there's a very high chance, like, you know, after market, because, you know, there's less trading volume, it can just completely plummet through the 970s, and then that pretty much eliminates that floor entirely outside of trading hours. So it's like those kind of situations I'm talking about. So essentially, if that were to happen, then I would expect a run up back to 970, probably get rejected, and then we would make our way down to 940 or so. But, you know, it really just depends on how we move up into earnings. I think that's going to be really important to have a better idea as to how we're potentially going to move after earnings. So that's the most important thing to watch for now, guys. So tomorrow and Wednesday, I think, will be very important days. Essentially, if we run up into earnings, I'm ironically more bearish, because that to me tells me that there's a higher chance that we'll drop from earnings, and then vice versa. If we don't run up into earnings, especially if we just consolidate or maybe even go down a little bit more, you know, again, maybe back to like 980 or something like that, then, you know, potentially I'm saying that, you know, there's a slightly higher chance that we actually run up after earnings. That's essentially the way I'm currently looking at it. But, you know, overall, you know, the volume 17 million, like really low volume, nothing too crazy. Some of the lowest volume we've had in a while, actually. So you can see we had a low volume day here, which we just followed by a massive drop, and we had a low volume day here, which eventually followed by another massive drop. So yeah, it's hard to say, guys. It really is. Let me see. It's earnings here. Yeah, nothing too crazy. I mean, at this point, it just feels like people are going to be waiting for earnings. I still do think that there might be a decent chance of a run up into earnings, just because, you know, FOMO, you know, maybe some leaked information, some insider leaked information, and, you know, they buy up into earnings expecting it to be a really good beat because they got some kind of, you know, juicy insider deets. It's very possible as well. The 1 hour chart, very quickly taking a look at that as well. You guys know, like, the 1 hour chart. Again, the first thing I'm looking for tomorrow, I really do think we're going to gap fill tomorrow to 1022. I do think that's definitely in the cards. And then, of course, that's going to be pretty important to see how that plays out tomorrow, and whether or not we just get hard rejected and then just bounce straight down off of that to the downside and out of this channel, or if we break to the upside and out of this channel northwards, and then potentially looking for the gap fill at 1060. The RSI is looking pretty okay. Nothing too crazy, nothing too, you know, obvious or like, you know, a major leading indicator yet. So I would say by far, guys, right now the most important thing to pay attention to personally is, again, the key level of 970, and of course the key level of breaking this gap fill resistance with this little top of this kind of wedge, if you will, that we are in, which is again around that 1022, 1023 ish area. That's essentially what I'm seeing, guys, and that's what I'm personally going to be looking forward to. Again, so I did sell the put, so I'm willing to buy shares essentially under 950. And I have not sold any covered calls yet. I'm being very careful with my covered call sales right now, because I personally think there's a higher chance of a run up and then a run down for now. So I'm kind of waiting for that, and then I'm going to see what happens with that. I might sell some shares and also sell some covered calls if we ever run up to this gap fill-ish area, somewhere in this general vicinity of like 1060 to 1100. Whenever we run up anywhere in this general vicinity, I want to start looking at really carefully at how it starts acting, and then start pretty much looking to, you know, start taking either some profit, sell some covered calls, because I do expect this to be an overall bearish bounce up to the upside. Because regardless, guys, don't forget, like I said before, even if we run up to like somewhere in this general area, like high thousands ish, like, you know, like 1060, 1070, 1080, somewhere in that area, 1090 even, if we ultimately, I believe that this bounce up is a bearish bounce, and I still even then will believe that we're still going to drop down to this level regardless of what happens here. I still think the ultimate goal is to drop here. So that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. Peace.